6. I don't know. 2 more, I think? 2 more. Which number am I on? 5. Okay, 6. Okay, so the next one. Now this one stumped the last class, and I didn't really think it was that hard, but maybe it was just me. I don't know. You guys are a smarter class. I will admit that. Ooh, I recorded that. Sorry. I know. One of them is like a floater. Sorry. Pretend that other 6 wasn't there. I don't know why it's not erasing. Okay, so this time we're going to use the cofunction identities. Yep. Oh. Number 5. Math teachers aren't good counters. Okay, so let's say in this scenario, they give us a sign being negative 0.37, and they ask us to find the cosine of x minus pi over 2. Okay, so this is going to be a cofunction identity. So everybody take a look at the cofunction identities. Okay, so they do give us the cofunction identities in terms of radians and in terms of degrees, which is kind of redundant because really it's like duh, but that's okay. But what do you notice in the inside of those parentheses all say?
Pi over 2 minus x.
Yeah, they're all pi over 2 minus x. And look at what was given to us.
So you just do negative.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to manipulate this until it becomes what we want it to be. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by switching the order of the x in the pi over 2, but I can't change its positivitiness. So if I change the order, it would be negative pi over 2 plus x. It's a my word. It's an multi word. But you understand what I mean, right?
Yeah.
It's not a real word. Yeah.
No, it's positivity.
The positivity. Positivity. Anyways, so now we're almost there, but all I'm going to do is pull a negative out. Ready for me to pull a negative out? And when I pull the negative out, I'm going to pull it out in front of the cosine. Okay, so it's going to be negative cosine of pi over 2 minus x. Everybody following that?
And then once you times it by negative 0.37.
Almost. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, oh, wait a second. This part right here, the cosine of pi over 2 minus x, is a cofunction. What is it equal to?
Negative 0.37.
Well, it's equal to the sine of x, yeah. And so now I can plug that value in, okay, because of what is given to me. So if I have negative, and then the value was negative 0.37, if I have a negative negative, it's a positive. Did that one make sense? Good. That one totally stumped the last class. I didn't think so either, but I don't know. Maybe I did a bad job explaining. Negative times a negative is a positive?
When you get the sign,
The cofunction identity. Yeah.
oh, gotcha.
Okay. So here is the last example, and this is kind of like the big dog, what it comes down to.
One that's going to be the hardest in those steps.
The hardest one, yeah. So what they're going to ask you to do is simplify it into a simple sine, cosine, or tangent. Okay, so basically simplify it into one trig value. Okay, so this is what they're going to give to you.
This is the most annoying sound.
That's not annoying at all.
What is it? Is it the light?
I think whoever's walking, I know.
That's what's causing it. I don't know what it is. Okay, so initially what is given to me is, well, basically all of the reciprocal ones. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use the reciprocal identities to rewrite the first two. Okay, so...
Is that multiplying that period right there?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what can I rewrite cosecant as?
Sine.
Good. So 1 over sine. What can I rewrite secant as? Good. Now what could I do cotangent now? Now look at the previous
cosine over
ones.
sine.
Remember, I want to condense, so I don't want to add more trig
Cosine over
stuff.
sine.
Good, I'm going to use, good, cosine over sine. Okay, so that was the part where I used my identities. Now here comes the part where I play with fractions. Okay, so this part requires understanding of fractions. Okay, so on this first little term I have 1 over sine times 1 over cosine. So if I just squeeze that together, that would just be 1 over sine times cosine. Okay, so now when I look at this, what's happening is I'm subtracting fractions. Okay, anytime you subtract fractions, what do you need to have? Common denominators.
So you just have to
So if I look at the two denominators, what is my common denominator going to be?
sine.
You gotta have everything.
So can you do multiply by cosine up
Okay.
top? Or you divide
So,
by
yeah.
cosine?
So it's going to be sine times cosine is the common denominator. So the left-hand fraction is fine. But the right one is missing the cosine. So I'm going to multiply by cosine over cosine, which is essentially the value of 1. So I'm not changing my expression, but just the way it looks.
So it'd be cosine squared.
Okay, good. Okay, so now since I have a common denominator, I'm going to go ahead and combine the top. So on the top it would be 1 minus cosine squared over sine times cosine. Okay, so now here comes another identity. Let's see if you guys can find it. Oh, it's cosine. Ooh, good catch. That would make a big difference in our world, wouldn't it?
Do you do cofunction identities and degrees then?
No, it's not going to be a cofunction. Cofunction always is going to be like 90 minus the angle. You're getting there. How?
Because you multiply one on the bottom and add one on the top.
Oh, no, because of the big fat minus on top. But we're going to manipulate that cosine squared a little bit. Which identity has stuff that's squared?
Oh,
Those Pythagorean identities. Which one has a cosine squared involved? Okay, so do you guys see this one that says, I guess it uses sine squared first. Doesn't matter though. This is the one I'm looking at. Sine squared plus cosine squared equals 1, right? Oops. Equals 1. Okay, so if I'm using that one but kind of thinking about where I need to go, see how the red one says 1 minus cosine? I can make my identity say 1 minus cosine if I just subtract it, right? So if I subtract the cosine, 1 minus cosine squared is equal to what? Sine squared. Okay, so you might write that on your sheet as just a help so you don't have to manipulate those in the future. So 1 minus sine squared, or I said that wrong, 1 minus cosine squared is sine squared. Okay, so now I can do a little bit more algebra. What do you notice here?
You can cancel out one of the sides.
You can cancel one of the signs, right? If you got a sine over sine, one of those is going to cancel. So I have sine over cosine. What's sine over cosine? Tangent. So this all simplifies into tangents.
Wow.
It's pretty nifty, right? Now I do have another example of that. Do you guys want me to give you one more example, or you feel like you kind of got this? Your hand's getting tired? Oh, you got to take a nap. Oh yeah, of course we have homework. Are you kidding me?
I haven't started my test.
You haven't started it?
No, it's coming.
So you got 2 through 36 evens. That's the assignment. It's going to be due at the beginning of class on Thursday. So we'll have tomorrow being a work day. So you'll probably want to ask lots of questions tomorrow.
Levi, I have a joke for you.
There's still 2 through 36.